yours now.
All right. Are we on?
Yes, we
All right. We are reconvening to open session at 6:26. And we are moving on to our conference and action items. And we have nothing to report, sorry. We have nothing to report out. Thank you, sorry. We are moving on to our conference and action items. A, approval of local control funding formula budget overview for parents.
So this is a background information is due to the COVID. So if you go back one page, please. Or let's see. Yeah, due to the COVID-19, we didn't do our normal LCAP this year. We had to have a parent overview that summarizes what ended up happening in 1920 and our budget for 2021. It details our response to the pandemic in the areas of distance learning, meals for students, mental health, and childcare for essential workers. Next page. So this is a document that loads the information. It had the projected revenue by fund source for 2021. You can see kind of in the middle right there on top of the loop, it says our total LCFF funds were $10,444,000. And then it shows how that's broken down with LCFF. Its supplemental is $2.2 million, which is 15% of the budget. Then we have our other state funds. We have our local funds for our total budget. So that's our LCFF funds is 10.4. Up in the top left, it says about our federal CARES funds, and we'll talk about this more at another meeting. We have been awarded $1.1 million. These are federal funds. And these are to use to mitigate the distance learning, transportation, food, books, personal protection equipment, and all of that. And then if you want to scroll down a little bit, please. And so the total revenue projected for Esparto Unified in 2021 is $14.7 million, again, which $10.4 million is a local control funding. There's $1.7 million in other state funds, $1 million in local funds, and 1.6 is the federal funds, which is 1.1 was the CARES, and then our normal about $400,000 or $500,000 for our Title I and other funds like that. Let's see. So then this talks about this. So we had a learning continuity plan that talked about how we were planning to spend our money in 2021 to mitigate the different things that I talked about. So we talked about $1.1 million in that plan. And of that, $576,000 was budgeted for expenditures for high needs students. So we do plan to spend about $15 million in the 2021 school year. This says that $14 million of that is not in that learning continuity plan, but those are dollars that cover our base instructional salaries, transportation, maintenance and operations, special education, utilities, etc. So this is just kind of a summary of it's supposed to make it easier for the parents to understand what's going on at our school district. So the increase and improved programs include the summer programs for the migrants, elective course funding for Esparto Middle School, career tech ed classes at Esparto High, professional development for all the school sites, early literacy interventions. It says the LCP is limited to actions undertaken by the district to respond again to the COVID-19 crisis. It is not quite as comprehensive as our 100+ page LCAP that we normally get. Right? We can probably look forward to that next year. Yes, so this shows that last year in 1920 we had $2.2 million budgeted expenditures for high needs students. And we actually ended up spending 2.261 million. So we did a good job of spending that money on the students that are high needs. We $32,000 apart. So that's it for that one. Any questions?
Do you have a definition of what high needs?
Yes.
is?
So high needs includes your free and reduced students, free and reduced lunch meal program students, your English learners, your homeless students, your foster students, and students with disabilities. And so they kind of lump it all together now. That it used to be supplemental was separate from concentration, but we have such a high, and we're going to talk about this more in a little bit too. We do have such a high percentage that it is important. This is a big portion of our funding. So we will be talking about that more in a minute.
All right. All right, do I have a motion to, does anyone have any questions? Do we have a motion to approve the local control funding formula budget overview for parents?
So
Bonnie first. Second. Amanda seconds. All those in favor? Aye. All right. Moving on to approve the 2020-2021 first interim financial report in SAS format.
this is one of several interim reports that we have to give to the Yolo County Office of Ed and the Department of Education. It talks about the current year budget and 2 subsequent year budgets. These determine the long-term viability of our district. The first thing I want to talk about is the multi-year projection. As you can see, the revenue for 2021 is 14.8 million. You come down, our expenditures are expected to be 15 million. So a planned deficit of 259,000. Our beginning cash balance was 3.3 million. Due to losing the 260,000, that leaves our ending net position, our ending fund balance at just over 3 million. That 3 million is spoken for by restricted money, so like Title I carryover. We have lottery money that is committed just for lottery uses for 300,000. And then we have assigned that almost $5 million is assigned. So we have the additional 6% that is the board requested, for reserve for economic. So that amounts to 902,000. Donations and site discretionary, we have 150,000 that we carry over, or that belongs to them. That's our piece of the bucket, so we can't touch that. E-rate match, we need the 25,000 facilities. We have 157,000 set in there just in case we have emergencies or things that we need to take care of. Technology, there's always technology needs, so we do have some committed there. And I have talked to you before about a bus match. It is possible if some grants come out for electric buses, which our buses cost us a small fortune in repair, and they're old and safety and you name it. So I just want to try to be prepared. So we have that 200,000 in there. By state ed code, we need to have 4% for economic uncertainty. So that's the 600,000. So this year we have 500,000, left over that's not spoken for. If you go back up to the top again, you can see our revenue goes down in year 2, and then it goes down again in year 3, and you come down and you see that our expenses, and we'll talk about our variances, but you can really see that 12.65, and then it goes up to 12.948 that we increase year on year. We go down from this year to next year, but I'll talk about that in a minute. And if you come on down, our restricted stays pretty much the same. You notice in this year, in the second year, the middle year, we're still fine with our 6% board reserve. We're still fine with our 4%. We're still good there. But when we get into the third year, we're running out of money. We've got revenues going down, and we've got expenses including payroll taxes and step and column every year, and costs go up every year. So what happens is your revenue's coming down, your expenses are coming up. We're not able to cover our 6% deficit or 6%, board recommendation. It's actually 2%, but we're still doing okay. We've got our 4%. We're good with accounting. And I hate to say, it seems like every year a little something bails you out. You can't count on that, but we're still doing okay. So that's what I actually did another MYP for the county with a 2%. FIGMAT is recommending a 2% deficit in the revenue, and I did that, and we still look okay. I'm going to talk about one of our bigger problems in a second. So we'll go to any questions on this so far? Or actually, maybe you can ask me at the end, because I may answer questions. So next page, please. So I talked about the variances. So what happens between 2021 and 21-22 is the first thing that happens is that we're going to lose some revenue. We're going to lose $183,000 because I can't get the people in Esparto, the families, to fill out their free and reduced lunch apps. Big problem. Okay, so we lose $182,000. Carryovers are listed, so you can go down a little bit. The carryovers, we never budget for those because they're not really our money. So like the donation, we can't count on them. We could spend them whatever, like Yotadihi is, we're done with the 349. So that one goes away. The Dave's grants, those SSP grants, those things all go away. Title I, we have 64,000. So all that stuff goes away. That's not ongoing revenue. So 833 goes away. So up above, it goes away. And then, so this year we did end up with the CARES money. So that's 1.1 million. So that's why we have this revenue variance, but that goes away next year. So our revenue goes down 1.8 million. Our expenses go up almost 2. The reason is that very top number, up higher, the unduplicated percentage, because we're not pulling that in. So my next document here, the decrease supplemental. So not that one, the other one, sorry. Let me do that one in a second. Next one, nope. It's right below that one. There you go. Okay, so what this says is the first top box, I go across my years, 19, 20, 20, 21, 21, 22. This is the track that we were on. So last year we had a 1,007 enrollment. We had 852 students that were unduplicated. Again, that's EL, free and reduced. And actually we got a bonus last year because our records overlapped. And so we were saved for a year. So our previous year and last year, we were able to, some days overlapped and saved us. So our rolling percent is 83%. That gains us $2.4 million last year. This year, I thought we should have had 800. Okay, so our enrollment's down. Our planned enrollment was down to 952. But if you leave leave the 83% going across there like it should, then you can see those are the extra funds, the 2.4, the 2.4, all the way across there. That's your money that you get for your supplemental and concentration. Where I have us now, this budget that we just looked at is, again, last year was the 1,007. This year we've only lost a few kids. We're actually at 934, so we're not bad. And we're held harmless with a lot of our money, but not with this unduplicated LCFF money. So what happens is I have estimated in this budget 687, which happens to be a 73%. I have added that 40. I am hopeful that we're going to get 40 more applications before December 31st. And I have the secretaries and the principals on this. All we have to do now is call people and do it in writing, over the phone. So what that does for us is that last year we had 2.4 million. This year now, I'm saying we're going to have 2.2 million this year. Well, guess what? It decreases again next year, 2.1, then it goes 1.7. And it keeps going down, and underneath there is how much money we're gonna lose each year, how much we're gonna go backwards. So this year, remember I said we went backwards 182,000? Well, next year, we're gonna go back another 343, and then 481, and then over here. And if we truly go with what I have right now, is our next box. This is what I truly have right now, is that we are possibly 262,000 in the hole. Next year, 508, 716. Okay, so that's where we're at. So my next box here, this is what is in our LCAP, and this is what we spend our supplemental money and concentration. I mean, it's not everything. A lot of stuff is embedded in our general fund, but we truly code like our books, our computers, our music program, our athletics, transportation, our reading teacher. These are coded to these unduplicated funds. And these total $700,000. Well, guess what's gonna go backwards? Guess what we're gonna lose? So, have the secretaries and the principals. It's like this has got to resonate with people. It's like, do you want your transportation? Do you want your reading teacher? We've got to fill these forms out. And so, again, I've padded it by 40, so I'm hopeful, that we'll get that done. But what's hard is that kids are eating for free this year because we're seamless summer. So what's the rush? Why fill out the paper? Well, and now we can't even collect that paper. We have to collect a different paper. Yes. So, and it's new rules. And I just clarified this like 2 days ago. Otherwise, and I knew that I thought I had till December 31st, but I just got clarification 2 days ago. So my next thing is we have my big SACs, and I won't go over that because that's such a fun document, but it tells how all of our funds are doing and everything, and I just kind of summarize that. So our beginning cash up on the top left, this first column, our beginning cash is 3.2 million. Again, our total receipts that we're expecting in 2021 is 14.8 million. Our expenses again are 15 million, and then we come down and that's talks about some of the back end, but bottom line, you lose the 152,000 plus that's what it ends up being because of all my backside. Anyway, so what happens, so we started out with 3.2 million, and we come across and we actually go to the next page now. And what happens is up at the top a little bit, you've heard that we're going to have deferrals. So we had one deferral last year, and we got that 500,000 back in July. So they docked us, they deferred it in June, and they gave it to us in July. So no big deal. This year, they're docking us in, I want to say the last 5 months. It might be 6 months. So February, March, April, May, June. They're docking us $1.8 million. Okay? Gone. They're not giving us that cash. So that's over there in that column. And then it, I'm sorry, yeah, 1.9. 1.9. Yeah, that number. Anyway, so then you come down below. So you would think, well, we had 3.2, right? Isn't that what I said at the beginning of the year? 3.2, yeah. And then if we lost 300,000, we'd have 2.9 or whatever. So come down a little bit farther or all the way down. So to double check myself, so what that means is with that deferral, our ending cash balance 6/30/21, so next June should be 1.2 million ending cash. It's actually down a little bit farther, right there. 1.2 is our ending cash. And then if you take the ending cash plus that 1.9, you come up with this 3.121. And I had to keep double checking myself to make sure that made, sense to me. And so we should be fine. That's where a lot of districts are in bad trouble, is making it through those deferrals. Then what happens, and I've done the next cash flow, and I'll probably bring that next month. So then what happens is we receive June's deferral. We're going to supposedly receive it in July, and we start receiving it back each month. So we should be okay, but we already know.
I know 708.
Right. And we already didn't get our, if we don't get that, you know what I mean? We're okay. We're in a lot better shape.
Aware of the conversations we're having to have with people, because this is real.
Right. So, you know, I didn't want to put too much in here, and again, I can bring that cash flow back next time and I'll definitely give you an update on those free and reduced applications and stuff. I haven't heard anything from the county, so I don't think that they're gonna have any issues with any of this. You know, we're very fortunate because we had so many retirements last spring. We're just so fortunate, and we did not refill those positions. You know, we're in a really good, considering we're in a very, very good position.
And just because of this whole COVID thing, now I'm worried that it's not gonna be next year that's gonna be so bad, it's gonna be the next year, because the state is not gonna have the revenue.
Right, and that's kind of what they're worried about, is the 22-20, 22-23, and that's why I finally got that cash flow done, and I will bring that in. You know, I didn't put any cuts in for next year. I should say that. So there's, we were not gonna refill two of the elementary classes. We weren't gonna put teachers in there, but we went ahead and did that next year. So my budget for next year either doesn't include Dave if he goes away. You know, if we have a retirement, so either that or two new teachers. So that's the only reduction that I have in the budget next year, if that makes sense.
And we purposely hired this year knowing that we were gonna have combos everywhere in the elementary, and going into distance learning with all combos, we felt was inappropriate if we can avoid it for the year. And this is not saying that, you know, we may get other retirements, these are gonna be things obviously we'll know for a few more months. But, you know, that's also, Becky and I are working on another grant that could help with some of these cash flow issues. But we just want people to know this is real. We kept saying it was coming, and people are like, no, no, no. I'm like, no, this is really coming.
It is because the other thing hasn't passed yet, you know, I mean, and a lot of this where California went ahead and gave us this funding this year, maybe cut, you know. I didn't do the 2%. I did the 2%, which we were still okay, but if we get cut 4%, 6%, I mean, and maybe that's what I'll do is I'll bring two MYPs or something just so we can see, but I just thought this might be enough information for tonight for this. Yay. So again, if you guys ever have questions, so please feel free to reach out.
Stuff like this, if you're not used to the school budget stuff like this, book a one-on-one. It allows you to really ask questions you need to ask. And there's nothing wrong with that. The school budget is not the same as personal budget or business budget.
I know a lot of people were asking me about, well, what about the lottery funds? Like there's some magic
I know.
pot of gold.
Yeah.
So Mr. Schulte did do a good answer on that. I did not answer, but he gave a good answer and he was correct. It's like, it's very little. It's very little.
Not even 1% of your usually your budget.
Yeah. I'm from out of state and yeah, I would have thought that thing would have made California
Based on
schools
the
rich.
commercials, oh, yeah.
So yeah, it's just, anyway, that's it.
Good to know. All right, well, thank you. I appreciate your working on that. And your explanation is good. It helps us understand a little better and hopefully it helps other people understand. And if other people have questions, they can ask too, as well.
I believe we're still recording this right now. So
Yeah.
we will have to post it.
All right. So do I have a motion to approve the 2020-2021 first interim financial report in SAS format? Amanda first.
Second.
And Bonnie second. Do all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Approval of resolution 20/2105 for on-call architectural services.
So this is me too. This is really exciting, I think. We put an RFQ out. You can stay up a little bit farther still. An RFQ out the other day, and it was due on Friday for looking for architects for our CTE building and our preschool. We got 11 responses.
Oh, wow.
It's very exciting. 11 responses. So we looked over those and go back up just one in case I don't miss anything. Yeah. So So we're gonna give you a resolution and a list of these vendors, and that way this allows us to pick whichever one we want. And then at that time, we would bring the contract forward to you guys. These are the organizations. The first one is in Davis. It's HY. I mean, they were all over the house. You know, they were the plain bound things, and some of these have just done really exciting things. It's just going to be very exciting. I don't know if we'll go with one architect, if we'll go with 4 architects, Leah and George. So George is helping us. We have Zoom meetings with 3 of these architects tomorrow, and we're getting the ball rolling. And so they're from all over the state, big firms, small firms, just really exciting. There is a resolution attached that just gives us the approval to call on any of these that we would like to call on, that they're all on our approved vendor list, basically. Just for you to vote, and then hopefully I'll have more information next time.
All right. Exciting.
It is exciting.
I'm excited
Yeah.
to see what happens. If
Yeah.
that shows up. All right. So do I have a motion to approve the resolution 20/21-05 for on-call architectural services? Bonnie first.
Second.
Amanda second. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Seeing none. We will move on to 2020 grand jury report and district response.
So this last year, actually last December, we were, several of us were contacted across Yolo County as well as across the district by the grand jury. And they asked us several questions in regard to our safe school plans and how we handle safety at our schools. So then they sent us a letter of their findings. And so I did get some assistance, and by the time we were able to get a lot of this information back out, did talk with the rest of the school districts that were going through this, and we're pretty much all responding in the same way. One of the only differences that we had to respond to is they did ask us to do a multiple safety plans, and we are not legally bound to do that because we have a student body of under 1,000 across the district. So we are not going to do that, and not just because of the ed code. We did try, Javier and the rest of the site administrators and district administrators. We all sat down last year and started going through the whole process, and it became so redundant having to do separate things that we were losing the whole purpose of it, which is to really train one another and to build a plan that is specific for your area. So we felt we had a very good reason, not just because we don't have to based on the law, but also because it wasn't a good practice when we looked at it and tried it. And so then the majority of the rest of our fighting, we were in agreement and willing to do things, but many of the things they found as findings because they didn't know that we already had the practices in place. For instance, we do online training, and every one of our online training comes with the opportunity for the individual to give any feedback about the online training. Was it good? Rated on 1 to 5, and so the employee has an opportunity to receive that feedback right away. So overall, this is what I'm recommending to send back to them on behalf of the board.
Are there any questions?
I would just like to comment. I would like to thank Mr. Macias for always making the pages larger so it's easier for us to read. Very helpful. Thank you very much.
I wasn't going to say anything, but thank you. I appreciate that. So this is not something we have to do. Do I have a motion to approve the 2020 grand jury report and district response? Amanda first, I second, and Bonnie second. All those in favor? Aye. And those opposed? Seeing none. I believe that's the end, because we have motions that we have to adjourn the meeting. Do we have a motion to adjourn the meeting? Bonnie first, second. Amanda second. All those in favor? Aye. The meeting is adjourned at 7:12. 6:00.
6:55?
6:55, I can read it off.
Thank you.
Can't make that one.
Okay, my phone got my closed session thing on it, woke it up.
And I know it's an odd